Pretoria, South Africa. A thin boy hides inside a school library. Blood runs from his nose onto a page in an encyclopedia. Outside, he hears laughter, insults, and fists. Inside, he finds silence. Beneath reality. Engineering shows him that problems can be taken apart and rebuilt. At 12, he writes and sells the code for a video game. Years later, he enters industries filled with experts who tell him what cannot be done. Rockets cost too much. Electric cars cannot compete. Batteries cannot provide enough range. Factories cannot move fast enough. Musk does not simply accept those conclusions. He studies the foundations beneath them. He reads them. He questions. He returns to first principles. Then he converts information into action. Books never became an escape from reality. They became preparation for rebuilding it. That distinction matters. More information does not automatically produce better leadership. What matters is what you allow into your mind, what you remove, and what you convert into useful action. Today, we confront an enemy that rarely looks dangerous because it often disguises itself as information. It is time to guard the gate of input. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Daily Leadership Brief. I'm your host, Jason Safford, and today, noise is the enemy. Everything we repeatedly admit into our minds begins shaping what we notice, imagine, decide, and eventually build. So, recognizing how noise works and the amount of information that flows around you on a constant basis, think about noise and how it breaks or does not break the gate. Today's command is not to reject information. It is to guard the gate and decide which inputs deserve influence. Urgency creates pressure, and interruption gains access. Noise then occupies the mental space required for clear thought. Noise does not need to destroy your schedule. It only needs to crowd your mind until the mission becomes difficult to see. Reviewing this week, the enemy moved closer each day. First, it attacked identity, then judgment, then execution. We started with confusion and how it prevents you from creating your identity. Who am I? Then we dealt with urgency and how it impacts your judgment. What matters now? Then we dealt with interruption and how it impacts your execution. Can I stay with it? Today, noise impacts discernment. What earns entrance? Availability does not equal value. The fact that information can reach you does not mean it deserves your access. What enters repeatedly shapes what you notice, and what you notice shapes what you decide. And those decisions shape what you build. And the word deception, which slipped in there, is the reality that you allow versus the reality that you create. So understand the deception within the noise is the reality that you allow versus the reality that you create. So noise rarely introduces itself as noise. It arrives labeled as research, awareness, preparation, communication, or entertainment. And the danger is not the label. The danger is granting immediate access without examining the value, relevance, or consequence. There are shows that we like. There are things that we like to read. There are scroll-stopping headlines that catch our attention. This is all noise. So understand that it is not the disguise. It is the allowance of letting the disguise influence you without examining it. So let's talk about volume. And the noise can be low versus high, and you actually are the one that can increase or lower the volume. So you have that control, and it's a matter of allowing yourself to audit the cost. Excessive input creates open loops, constant mental transitions, emotional reactivity, and shallow thinking. A crowded mind can appear informed while losing the clarity needed to separate evidence from opinion and action from distraction. So looking at this slide, mental congestion, shallow thinking, reactive emotion, and weakened judgment, these are all the ways that noise consumes attention without increasing capacity. Information gives us raw input. Intelligence converts useful information into understanding, judgment, and action. Discernment performs that conversion. Okay, that is your wisdom. Without discernment, greater information volume can create less leadership capacity. So it's your wisdom, your discernment that allows you to build capacity. So getting back to Elon Musk, he read across science, engineering, computing, economics, business, and philosophy because he wanted to understand how systems worked. He did not read to collect facts or appear knowledgeable. He read to construct mental models that could support meaningful action. And you can see that in how he has created his portfolio of companies. However, his rise to the top had more to do with pressure and how he built capacity to handle that pressure. So Musk entered industries that were protected by powerful assumptions: rocket costs, battery limitations, factory design, technology feasibility. These were all things that existed that he had to look under the hood and really determine what was the solution to these problems. So instead of adopting or inheriting those conclusions, he investigated the root causes of the physical, economic, and operational foundations beneath them. Now, here's where the discernment comes in. The return to first principles is thinking that removes inherited assumptions. It identifies what must remain and remain true, and rebuilds the answers from that evidence going upwards. So the leadership lesson for you is simple. Do not allow yourself to inherit a conclusion when you possess the ability and responsibility to examine its foundation. So again, the phrase, trust nothing, question everything, this is where, again, rather than assume or, accept what is inherited, always question it. All right. The win your day principle for today is thinking about the quality of our leadership as an output that cannot consistently exceed the quality of our mental input. So what you feed your mind is what will present itself in your leadership. Protecting that signal, because repeated inputs shape what you notice, and what you notice determines which possibilities you can pursue, is critical to your success as a leader, protecting that signal. All right. So we're going to move forward to the signal gate algorithm from Win Your Day. And it's 5 questions that allow the input to earn influence? The source, who created it? The significance, does it matter now? The signal, does it create more clarity for you? The service, what action does it improve? And the stop, what must close in order for you to allow this signal to exist? And this is what creates discernment capacity. You're building more wisdom that separates value from volume. So in sifting through the noise to identify value, you're looking at the signal, you're evaluating its relevance, you're learning, assuming the learning position, you're gathering evidence, then you're collecting the wisdom and turning that into awareness. So a discerning leader does not know everything. They know what deserves their attention. And one of the sayings that I have for this, which is, I know more about what I don't know than what I do know. The audit for your leadership input is always to look at how you classify recurring inputs as signal, the support, the static, or sabotage associated with that signal, and protecting the signal, the schedule, the support, restricting the static, and removing the sabotage based on what that signal is improving. Okay? So leadership is all about subtracting from the noise what's sabotaging you, what's creating static, and focusing on how the support improves the signal. Today, your challenge is to restrict one source, protect one source, identify within the noise what is the recurring source, and then based on what is important, I want you to protect the intentional learning window where valuable input can enter without competition. Then you're going to complete the conversion by turning one useful insight into a decision, action, conversation, or measurable improvement today, and you're going to post that online. As always, you have an identity and a one-word intention for today. Today, your word intention, I didn't leave one up there for you, but I want you to declare, I am becoming a leader who protects the quality of my thinking. And this changes the input protection from a temporary tactic into an identity. I want you to help another leader examine what strengthens their leadership and what merely occupies their attention. Guarding the gate can become a shared discipline. And going into tomorrow, again, I want to thank you for attending. Going into tomorrow, you are guarding every input and making sure you don't lose alignment, because you can guard every input and still lose alignment. Protecting does not guarantee alignment. A leader can always eliminate noise and still move gradually away from declared mission. So tomorrow we confront the enemy that does not break through the gate. It slowly moves the gate itself, and that is drift. Once again, I am your host, Jason Safford. You can find out more about the Resilience Universe at yourresilienceuniverse.com. The book Win Your Day at winyourdaybook.com, and contact me at jasonsafford@gmail.com. As always, I want you to go out there and win your day.